Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Viejas Arena in San Diego, California, and the show just ended. And Dynamite tonight, I thought it was a decent show. It was, of course, a lot better than Monday Night Raw on Monday. But tonight on Dynamite, we had the Blackpool Combat Club, we had Moxley and Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli versus the Lucha Brothers, Penta and Phoenix, and also Bandido. We had a three-way match where it was Swerve Strickland versus Trent Beretta and Big Bill. We had the Gates of Agony in action. It's been a while since I've seen the Gates of Agony on AEW television. This is, of course, Khan and Toa Leona. And they end up taking on Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. We had the Tbs Championship on the line. Kris Statlander, who is the new Tbs Champion, where she defeated Jade Cargill at Double or Nothing to win the title. But Kris Statlander was going to return, and she would be the one to defeat Jade Cargill for the TBS Championship. But she defended the title tonight on Dynamite against Nyla Rose. And I'm like, out of everyone in the women's division, I'm like, you go with Nyla Rose? So then, the main event of the show was Adam Cole and Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, the couple, versus Chris Jericho and Saraya. Overall, I thought Dynamite tonight was a decent show. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite tonight opened up with the trios match. The Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli versus the Lucha Brothers, Penta, El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix, and also they teamed with Bandido. And this was a good opening match to Dynamite tonight. Very fun match. The wrestling was good here from these guys. So we had the match start off with all six men. They had a standoff in the ring, and they were just beating the hell out of each other. This was before the bell even rung, so they were just going at it. So we had the Lucha Brothers and Bandido end up clearing Moxley, Yuta, and Claudio Castagnoli out of the ring. So we had Wheeler Yuta end up attacking Bandido. Moxley was attacking Penta, and Claudio went after Phoenix. Yuta ended up bringing Bandido into the ring, and the bell ended up ringing, so the match finally got underway. So Bandido ended up being down on Wheeler Yuta for a little bit, but Wheeler Yuta ended up catching Bandido, and he delivered a scoop slam to Bandido and then a senton. So Yuta ended up going for the cover, and Bandido kicked out. Yuta ended up bringing Bandido back to his feet, and Yuta was looking to go for a suplex, but Bandido ended up reversing that. So we had Bandido lifting Yuta up, to deliver a suplex of his own to Yuta, but Moxley and Claudio, they tried to intercept, but they were held off by Rey Fenix and Penta. Bandido ended up keeping Yuta up in the air, and the crowd was just counting, along to how many minutes Bandido ended up keeping Yuta up in that position. So it was a full minutes count. It was like 60 minutes. And we had Bandido end up dropping Yuta. So Bandido ended up going for the cover, and Yuta ended up kicking out. So Bandido ended up tagging in Penta, and the Lucha Brothers, Penta and Phoenix, they were looking to go for a double team on Yuta, but we had Claudio and Moxley end up keeping Rey Fenix and Penta at bay until Penta ended up connecting with a backstabber to Claudio. So Penta and Yuta end up going at it. Bandido tagged back in. Bandido was sent to the outside, and we had Yuta, Moxley, and Claudio end up attacking Bandido, and then Dynamite went to commercial during the other picture-in-picture. And Bryan Danielson was on commentary during the match, which Bryan, on commentary was just, very good. So as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Bandido was struggling as Moxley ended up holding tight, the ankle lock, which he locked in on Bandido during the commercial, during the picture-in-picture. So Bandido ended up hitting a jawbreaker to Moxley, and he broke the ankle lock. So Bandido ended up coming back. He ended up hitting the ropes to drop Moxley down to the canvas. Bandido then ended up tagging in Phoenix, and then Claudio ended up tagging in. So Phoenix and Claudio went at it. So Phoenix ended up catching Claudio with a kick to his face. Yuta came running in, but he got cut off by both Phoenix and Penta. And they ended up taking Claudio down, ended up sending him colliding with Moxley. Bandido and Yuta end up tagging in. So at this point in the match, Bandido and Yuta went at it. Both Bandido and Yuta were trading punches and elbows to each other. Yuta ended up taking a bite out of Bandido, and then Bandido ended up responding with a kick to Yuta's face. So Yuta ended up hitting the ropes. He ended up getting taken down by Bandido, and then we have Phoenix and Penta end up diving onto both Claudio and Moxley on the outside. Bandido ended up going for the cover on Yuta, but Yuta ended up kicking out. Bandido was looking to take Yuta down. Moxley and Claudio intervened, which allowed Yuta to hit the running knee strike to Bandido, and then some elbow strikes to Bandido. So Yuta ended up going for the cover, and there you go. The Blackpool Combat Club ended up winning the match. Post-match, Bryan Danielson left commentary, and he joined his guys in the ring, and pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a good opening. This was a good opening match to Dynamite. Very fun match. And like I said, the wrestling was good, and just a lot of back and forth action from these 6 men. So it was a good trios match. And then we saw Alex Marvez. Alex Marvez was backstage with the Elite. Matt Jackson ended up saying that the Blackpool Combat Club brought out the worst in them at Double or Nothing. Nick Jackson ended up saying that one setback won't stop them. Simon Page was then interrupted by the Dark Order. So the Dark Order ended up pointing out that Page is with his new best friends. Page ended up saying that Kenny Omega is hurt and out of the country, but he's not in Canada. So pretty much, that was, basically that. But this call lead up to, the Elite, versus the Dark Order. So that's where I see this heading. But we'll see. And then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he welcomed Jay White and Juice Robinson. Jay White and Juice Robinson made their way out. Tony Schiavone ended up asking both of them about their issue with Ricky Starks. So Jay White ended up saying that Starks must feel like he's on top of the world after eliminating the Bullet Club Gold from the Blackjack Battle Royal. So Jay White ended up reminding Starks that he is not the international champion because of what they did to him, because of what Jay White and Juice Robinson did to Starks. So Juice Robinson called out FTR for helping Starks during their attack. He ended up saying, because we all know Ricky Starks ain't got no friends. Jay White then ended up running down FTR. He ended up saying that he didn't expect them to be dumb enough to get involved in the Bang Bang Club's business. So FTR, Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, they ended up coming out and they had enough of what Jay White and Juice Robinson were saying. So we had Jay White and Juice Robinson. They were arguing over whether FTR are here to get hostile or to apologize. So Jay ended up saying that they're here to join Bullet Club Gold. He ended up saying that if FTR wants to join, all they have to do is ask, but do it politely. So this led to a standoff between Jay White and Juice Robinson and FTR. Juice Robinson then ended up decking Dax Harwood with a roll of quarters. You saw the quarters spill out in the middle of the ring. FTR then got beaten down by Jay White and Juice Robinson. Juice Robinson and Jay White ended up taking FTR down until Starks ended up coming out, and he ended up stopping Jay White and Juice Robinson with a steel chair. And pretty much, basically, Ricky Starks got on the mic. You know, we had Jay White and Juice Robinson. They were in the crowd. Ricky Starks ended up laying out a challenge to Jay White. He ended up saying, I want you next week, I want you to leave Juice Robinson in the back. So it's going to be Ricky Starks versus Jay White next week on Dynamite. Should be a good match. You know, looking forward to it. But overall, I thought this was a decent segment with Jay White, Juice Robinson, you know, FTR coming out there. Ricky Starks making a save for FTR, you know, chasing out Juice Robinson and Jay White. And then we had Tony Khan. Tony Khan made his announcement regarding AEW Collision. And, you know, at the first AEW Collision, it's going to be, of course, in Chicago at the United Center. And Tony Khan ended up announcing that AEW Collision in Chicago will feature the return of CM Punk. And I'm like, we all guessed it. This was not a surprise to any of us. When Tony Khan announced, AEW Collision, the first show, is going to be held in Chicago at the United Center, we're like, okay, CM Punk is going to return there. So no surprise to any of us. We all guessed it. So, but it's going to be awesome to see CM Punk, you know, return. So very much looking forward to it. And then we had a three-way match. Trent Beretta versus Swerve Strickland versus Big Bill. And this was a very mid-match, in my opinion. So Trent Beretta and Big Bill started off the match. Swerve escaped to the outside. Trent ended up rushing out of the ring. He ended up sending Swerve and telling Big Bill to kill him after what happened at the Blackjack Battle Royal. So all three men end up going at it. Trent ended up coming back in. Big Bill had both Trent and Swerve Strickland in the corner. He ended up splashing both Trent and Swerve. And Big Bill ended up sending Swerve over the top rope to the outside. And then Big Bill ended up hitting a big boot to Trent. And then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Big Bill came into the ring. He was looking to go for another big boot on Trent. And Trent ended up pulling Swerve into the big boot from Big Bill, which ended up sending him off the apron. And Trent ended up sending Big Bill off the apron as well. So Trent ended up hitting a dive. Swerve ended up sending Trent back to the ring. Swerve was looking to go for the double stomp, but he was then intercepted by Big Bill. Big Bill climbed to the second rope. Trent was up on the ropes, and it was a fight between all three men. Swerve and Trent ended up hitting a double superplex on Big Bill, which was great. Trent and Swerve ended up recovering. Trent ended up sending Swerve out of the rope, but Trent was then caught in a swinging side slam, which was delivered by Big Bill. Big Bill ended up going for the cover, and Swerve broke up the pin. Swerve ended up covering Big Bill, to which Big Bill kicked out. Swerve was looking to go for a double stomp on Trent, but Trent ended up dodging that. He ended up hitting a flying knee strike to Swerve, and then a pile driver. And we had Trent ended up going for the cover, and Big Bill broke up the pin. Trent ended up trying to intercept Big Bill on the apron, but he was then sent off with a choke slam from Big Bill, and that allowed Swerve to drop Big Bill off the apron, and he ended up going for the cover on Trent. And so there you go. Swerve Strickland ended up winning the match. Overall, this was just a very mid match, in my opinion. Just didn't care for it. And then we went to Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette ended up welcoming the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn to the stage. Of course, they ended up losing at Double or Nothing. Billy Gunn ended up saying that he feels especially bad for letting the Acclaim down on Sunday night. Masked Caster ended up saying not to feel bad before calling themselves the People's Choice. Bowens ended up saying that their goal remains the same after what they went through in losing the World Tag Team titles. So they ended up putting Billy Gunn over, and they ended up saying that Billy Gunn deserves to hold gold one more time. Bowens then ended up telling Billy Gunn not to worry about it because they love him, and everybody loves the Acclaimed. And that was how the segment ended, but the Acclaimed, they want Billy Gunn to hold the gold one more time. I guess before Billy Gunn decides to hang up the boots, maybe. But overall, I thought it was, a very little fun segment with the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he welcomed Don Callis. Don Callis was accompanied by Konosuke Takeshita, to which Takeshita ended up turning heel Sunday night at Double or Nothing. So Callis ended up coming down to the ring, got loud boos from the crowd. So Tony Schiavone ended up asking Callis about what happened at Double or Nothing. And Takeshita is now Don Callis' new protege. And the San Diego crowd booed loudly at Don Callis. Callis got booed out of the arena. And when I tell you, the loud boos from the San Diego crowd, this was heel heat. This was at the heel heat of Dominic Mysterio when he comes out every Monday night on Raw. So Don Callis ended up saying that he hopes those boos from the San Diego crowd are for Kenny Omega. claiming that he's the real victim here, which that got more loud boos from the crowd. And the boos got louder and louder as Callis was speaking, to the point where you couldn't hear him half the time. That's how loud the boos were. This ain't, WWE piping in, boos, from time to time, at their shows. This was actually people booing loudly at Don Callis. So Don Callis was putting himself over as being the reason for Kenny Omega's success and his title wins. So Callis ended up saying that every morning he has to wake up and look at the stitches on his head, which he ended up blaming Omega for. Callis ended up saying that Omega ended up destroying his family, and maybe he lost a nephew. But Callis ended up saying that he gained a son, to which he pointed at Takeshita. So Callis put Takeshita over. He ended up saying that Takeshita is the best athlete he's ever seen in the world of professional wrestling. He ended up saying that Takeshita is better than the list of Japanese legends. He started running down the legends, and he even went to say that Takeshita was better than Okada. And he will soon show that Takeshita is better than Kenny Omega. So then Takeshita got on the mic, and he ended up addressing the crowd. He was speaking Japanese. And then he ended up saying that he will destroy the Elite and Kenny Omega. So Don Callis took back the mic. He ended up saying that he's going to build a new family to cut the Elite out of all Elite wrestling. So that was how the segment ended. But Don Callis, like, he set up a new stable here, with him and Takeshita, who are going to be the next guys that Don Callis would put, with Takeshita. We'll have to just wait and see. But I really like this segment here. And, Don Callis putting Takeshita over, and the crowd just booing loudly at Don Callis. This was, like I said, on the level of Dominic Mysterio heel heat. So, but there was a point where, a lot of people were thinking, is Don Callis and Takeshita now part of the Blackpool Combat Club? But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, because, Takeshita ended up helping out the Blackpool Combat Club at Double or Nothing on Sunday in the Anarchy in the Arena match, to which the Blackpool Combat Club ended up defeating the Elite. So we all were thinking that Don Callis and Takeshita were going to be a part of the Blackpool Combat Club. Obviously, that wasn't the case, and Don Callis, saying here that he's going to build a new family to cut the Elite. So it's going to be a new stable, new group. So we'll have to wait and see who the next guys are going to be with Takeshita and Don Callis. And then we had Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy versus the Gates of Agony. This was, of course, Khan and Dole Leona, and they are both amazing. I haven't seen them on AEW television in a while. They're just very, very entertaining. And this was actually a very good match here. So we had Toa Leona and Orange Cassidy start off the match. Toa ended up getting the advantage on Orange Cassidy. He sent Orange Cassidy flying with a belly-belly suplex. Darby then ended up shoving Khan away, and he tagged himself into the match. So Toa ended up keeping Darby down, and then Toa ended up tagging in Khan. So the Gates of Agony ended up attacking Darby and Orange Cassidy. And so the Mogul Embassy ended up showing up on the stage. So we saw Prince Nana, Brian Cage, and Swerve Strickland. They were watching what was going on in the ring. Khan ended up working on Darby Allin in the corner. Khan then tagged Toa back in. So Toa kept the attack on Darby Allin. So we had Toa end up delivering a hip attack in the corner, which squashed Darby. So Darby started to fight back. He ended up getting sent out of the ring by Toa. And then Khan ended up trapping Darby by sending him against the barricade a few times. Toa ended up rushing at Orange Cassidy to take him down. And Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Khan ended up sending Darby up on the top turnbuckle. And he ended up dropping Darby down hard. And we had Toa Liona end up delivering a leg drop to Darby. So we had Khan end up tagging in Toa. Toa continued to beat down on Darby. And Toa ended up tagging back in Khan. So both the Gates of Agony ended up sending Darby up. But Darby ended up dropping them down. So he ended up chopping both the Gates of Agony, both Toa and Khan. So the Gates of Agony end up grabbing Darby, and Darby ended up managing to fight off both Khan and Toa Liona. And so Darby ended up making the tag to Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy ended up coming into the ring. He put his hands in his pockets. He ended up catching both of the Gates of Agony with a flurry of offense, which led to Orange Cassidy end up hitting a DDT on Khan. So Orange Cassidy ended up going for the cover. Khan kicked out. Cassidy was looking to go for an orange punch to Khan, but Khan ended up ducking that. Toa Liona ended up dropping Orange Cassidy with a Samoan drop. So then the Gates of Agony end up double teaming up on Orange Cassidy. And so we had Toa end up going for the cover. Darby Allin end up breaking up the pin. So the Gates of Agony were looking to go for a double choke slam to Orange Cassidy. But Darby Allin ended up getting the tag in. He started loading on the Gates of Agony. Toa ended up getting caught with a back rake by Darby, which was followed up by an orange punch from Orange Cassidy. And then Darby Allin ended up delivering a dive to Toa. So Khan ended up going after Orange Cassidy. So Khan ended up taking a Stun Dog Millionaire by Orange Cassidy. And then he delivered, Darby Allin ended up delivering a Destroyer. Orange Cassidy dived to the outside to hold off Toa. And then Darby ended up hitting the coffin drop on Khan. So Darby Allin ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy ended up winning the match. Post-match, Swerve, Prince Nana, and Brian Cage end up approaching them in the ring. And then we had the return of Sting. As what Tony Schiavone ends up saying, it's Sting! So Sting ended up coming out. He had a bat in hand. We had the Mogul Embassy end up escaping out of the ring. And so pretty much that was basically that. But overall, this was a very good match between the Gates of Agony and Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy. The Gates of Agony, I was really happy to see them on AEW television again. It's been a while since I've seen them. They are just both very entertaining, very good in the ring, both Khan and Toa Liona. And then, Sting returning, that was, good. And then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring. He was welcoming someone out to the ring. But Tony Schiavone was then interrupted by Hook, the FTW champion. So Tony Schiavone ended up addressing Hook's involvement at Double or Nothing. Hook was going to say something, but he was then interrupted by Jose the assistant and Preston Vance and Jalistico. So we had Jose the assistant end up saying that they're taking their opportunity. And he was telling Preston Vance and Jalistico to show Hook what they're all about. So Preston Vance and Jalistico end up beating up on Hook. And then Jungle Boy end up coming out. Jungle Boy had a steel chair in hand. Jalistico and Preston Vance end up going after Jungle Boy. And Jungle Boy end up laying both of them out. Jose ended up trying to get involved, but he got sent into the ring. Hook ended up taking Jose down. Jose ended up escaping the ring as Jungle Boy ended up coming in. So we had Jungle Boy end up showing Hook a sign of respect, and both Jungle Boy and Hook end up standing tall in the ring. So basically that was that, but overall, didn't care for this. So we're going to get, Preston Vance and Jalistico versus Hook and Jungle Boy. That's pretty much obviously what they're setting up for. But overall, was just very meh, in my opinion, this segment. Didn't care for it. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage with Toni Storm and the Outcasts, with, of course, Saraya and Ruby Soho. So they end up celebrating Toni Storm's win at Double or Nothing, and they end up putting over the fact that Toni is defending the title at House Rules this weekend, which is their house show for AEW. And Toni Storm ended up saying, because that's what a fighting tour champion does. To which, she ended up saying that luck had nothing to do with her win at Double or Nothing. She ended up saying that she's done everything she needed to get to this point, and that there's nobody good enough to carry her bags in the locker room. So pretty much that was, basically that. Toni Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship at House Rules, at a house show. And then we had the TBS Championship on the line. Kris Statlander, new TBS Champion. She won the title at Double or Nothing by defeating Jade Cargill. So Jade Cargill's streak came to an end. So she ended up taking on Nyla Rose, which this was just okay, in my opinion. But anybody else could have faced Kris Statlander for the TBS Championship. You could have had Penelope Ford. You could have had Julia Hart. But no, they give us Nyla Rose. So we had Nyla start off the match showing her strength against Kris Statlander. Nyla ended up sending Kris Statlander into the corner. Kris Statlander started to fight back, but she was dropped by Nyla Rose. So Kris Statlander ended up rolling away from an elbow drop delivered by Nyla Rose, and Kris Statlander ended up locking in the body scissors on Rose. And Nyla Rose ended up getting to the ropes to break up the body scissors. Nyla went back on the attack on Kris Statlander, but Kris Statlander ended up fighting out of a suplex attempt by Nyla Rose. So Nyla Rose ended up sending Kris Statlander to the turnbuckle, and we had Taya Valkyrie end up watching on. So Dynamite then went to the commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Nyla Rose ended up taking Kris Statlander down. She ended up going for the cover, and Statlander ended up kicking out. Statlander started to fight back against Nyla Rose. She ended up hitting a discus elbow and some strikes to send Nyla Rose into the corner. Kris Statlander then ended up hitting a running strike and a Blue Thunder Bomb to Nyla Rose, to which she ended up going for the cover, and Nyla Rose ended up kicking out. So Statlander ended up looking to follow that up, but she was sent to the corner by Nyla Rose, and Kris Statlander ended up avoiding a corner attack by escaping to the outside. And we had Nyla Rose in control of the match because we had Jay Cargill, out there because Jay Cargill was ended up delivering a senton to Kris Statlander. So Nyla Rose brought Kris Statlander back into the ring, and Nyla Rose ended up hitting a chokeslam to Kris Statlander. She ended up going for the cover. Statlander ended up kicking out. So Statlander got back up. She ended up taking Nyla Rose down, and she ended up climbing up, and she delivered the 450 splash to Nyla Rose. She ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Kris Statlander ended up winning the match, retaining the TBS Championship. Overall, it was an okay match between Statlander and Nyla Rose. I'm really happy to see Kris Statlander again. She was very missed on TV. Overall, like I said, okay match it was. And then we had the main event. Chris Jericho and Saraya versus Adam Cole and Britt Baker, DMD, mixed tag team match. This was a good main event. This was a very fun match here. And I'd say this match should have been at Double or Nothing. I saw people commenting, after the show was over, that this match was better than Cole and Jericho's unsanctioned match at Double or Nothing. But Adam Cole and Jericho ended up going at it. They were picking up from where they left off at Double or Nothing. They ended up going at each other with some strikes. Jericho ended up getting the early advantage. He ended up sending Adam Cole to the corner. Cole fought back, and we had both Jericho and Cole trading chops to each other. Cole ended up sending Jericho into the corner, but we had Jericho end up raking Adam Cole's eyes, and Jericho ended up sending Adam Cole to the outside. Jericho ended up sending Cole into the barricade. Jericho brought Cole back into the ring. He kept on the attack on Adam Cole, and Adam Cole ended up taking Jericho down with a shoulder tackle. Jericho rolled to the corner, tagged in Saraya, which forced Adam Cole to tag in his girlfriend, Britt Baker. So Britt Baker ended up laying into Saraya with some strikes, which Britt Baker ended up going for the cover, and Saraya kicked out. So Britt Baker was in control. She had pinned the ropes. Saraya ended up distracting the ref for Jericho to trip up the ref. So then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had Toni Storm and Ruby Soho end up coming out, and they both beat it down on Britt Baker on the outside. Hikaru Shida then ran out, and she had a kendo stick in hand. She attacked both Toni Storm and Ruby Soho with the kendo stick. So we had Jericho end up running into the ring, and he was taunting Britt Baker. Britt Baker ended up taking in Adam Cole. Cole ended up laying into Jericho with some strikes, and then Cole delivered an enziguri to Jericho. Jericho came back and delivered a lion salt to Adam Cole, which he ended up going for the cover, and Adam Cole ended up kicking out. So we had Jericho end up taking in Saraya, which brought Britt Baker back into the ring. Britt Baker ended up taking Saraya down with a neck breaker, and Saraya got back up, ended up sending Britt Baker to the corner. Britt Baker fought back. She ended up going up to the turnbuckle, but Saraya ended up intercepting her. Saraya was then shoved off by Britt Baker. Jericho ended up rushing in to intervene, but Britt Baker ended up falling right on top of both Saraya and Jericho. So she ended up sending Jericho away, and she ended up going for the cover on Saraya, and Saraya ended up kicking out. So Adam Cole ended up tagging in. Cole ended up hitting a backstabber to Jericho. He ended up climbing up to deliver the Panama Sunrise to Jericho, and Cole was then caught by Jericho, and Jericho locked in the walls. So Saraya knocked Britt Baker off the apron. Adam Cole was struggling to get to the ropes to break the walls, and he was about inches away from touching the rope to break up the walls, but Jericho pulled him back to the center of the ring. Britt Baker hopped on the apron with a glove in hand, and she put the glove on, and she locked in lockjaw on Jericho. So we had Britt Baker end up bringing Jericho back to the canvas, and she ended up locking in lockjaw again, and Soraya ended up breaking up the hold. Adam Cole ended up coming back into the ring, and Jericho ended up laying Cole out with a code breaker. So Jericho ended up going for the cover, and Adam Cole ended up kicking out. So both Jericho and Cole, they were on their knees. They were trading strikes to each other. Cole started to get advantage as both him and Jericho ended up slowly getting back to their feet. So we had Jericho end up taking in Saraya, and Britt Baker ended up coming in. So Saraya and Britt Baker were now trading strikes with each other. Saraya ended up dropping Britt Baker down. She ended up going for the cover, to which Britt Baker ended up kicking out. So Jericho was in the corner with a bat. Jericho was looking to hit Britt Baker with the bat, but Adam Cole delivered a super kick to Jericho. And so we had both Adam Cole and Britt Baker end up delivering super kicks to Jericho and Saraya. So Britt Baker ended up taking in Adam Cole. Adam Cole ended up lowering his knee pad. He was looking to deliver the boom, to which he did. He delivered the boom to Jericho, and he ended up going for the cover. And there you go. The couple end up winning the match, Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Post-match, Adam Cole and Britt Baker end up celebrating. Jericho left the ring. He grabbed the steel chair, and he ended up throwing it into the ring. Adam Cole picked up the chair, kept Jericho away. Jericho ended up regrouping on the ramp with Saraya, and Adam Cole and Britt Baker continued to celebrate their win as Dynamite went off the air. Overall, this was a fun match between Adam Cole, Britt Baker, and Jericho and Saraya. Hopefully, this feud is over between Cole and Jericho. Now, hopefully they build towards Adam Cole, and MJF. Hopefully that happens. Let's move on from Cole and Jericho. Get Cole to feud with MJF and have Cole go after MJF for the World Championship. But overall, Dynamite tonight, decent show it was. But anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Dynamite. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And the next video that I will do will be a movie review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I will be seeing tomorrow night. Looking forward to it. The sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. So, looking forward to it. But anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all back here with Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.